Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Legends of Tomorrow Season 7 review series. And today I am going to be talking about episode 4, Speakeasy Does It, which I have just finished watching. And this episode I didn't think was that good, to be honest. I don't think it was as good as episode 3, which was the 100th episode of Legends of Tomorrow, and in my opinion, I would go on record to say that was probably the best episode that the show has delivered in quite some time, and certainly the best one in recent seasons. I just didn't think this episode was as good as the last one, and I don't think it followed up on the epicness of the last episode. This episode just felt really silly. There was lots of singing and dancing, which I really didn't care much for. I would probably say, if I'm truly honest, if it came down to it, the only good thing about this episode was Gary and Nate. Yeah, I just said that. Gary and Nate was the only good thing about this episode. But apart from that, didn't really care much for this. The other good thing about this episode, if I had to choose, aside from Nate and Gary, was Astra and Spooner. I'm really enjoying their relationship developing, but other than that, I just didn't enjoy this one at all. So, we've seen so far in this season, Gideon is now in a human form. We've seen things like that before, where she's appeared as a hallucination or she was in Rip Hunter's mind. But we're actually seeing Gideon in the flesh, actually working with the legends. And yeah, this was definitely one of the weaker episodes of the show. Definitely not as good as episode 3, the 100th special, but it is what it is. So, with that all said, let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 4, Speakeasy Does It. So, after finding a speakeasy, supplying it with alcohol, and accidentally causing the speakeasy's owner to lose his bar, we see the legends feel obligated to help him, and with Zari taking the lead, the team converted the pocket dimension into a bar, fully equipped with a dance floor and Constantine's never ending whiskey supply. As we see Nate and Gary were filling the bar, Zari asked Gary to secure the curtains. Before she left, Gary complimented her on the leadership during the mission, which caught Nate's attention. We then see Nate revealed Gary's pathological attraction to powerful people, listing Kayla, Ava, and John as examples of why Gary is just attracted to Zari because she is a leader that is bossing him around. Nate tried to lift Gary up, asking if he wanted to be respected for the alien he is, but Gary said he did not. Nate offered his sympathy, but Gary put the spotlight on Nate's so-called pathology. Confused, Nate asked Gary to elaborate, to which Gary broke down Nate's outlandish trope being in relationships that cannot go anywhere due to historical or totem-based restrictions as a way to hide his vulnerability and not give himself to another person. This shocked Nate, but Gary egged him on, telling him that he needs to truly define his relationship with Zari 1.0 before judging his own crush on Zari 2.0. So, as the party begins, Nate and Gary were in charge of the door, which gave ample time for their feud to continue. And we see Gary ask Nate how he ended things last time with Zari, which angered him until Hoover's men showed up to fight. As we see the two of them fight off the goons, Gary tried to get Nate to realize that he needed to solidify his relationship with Zari for his own sake. And as the two end the fight, the two finally bury their hatchet, with Nate admitting that he was scared of what comes next for them. Gary offers to help Nate after he and Zari have the talk, providing a shoulder to cry on or a celebratory hug. And we see at the end of that episode, we see the original Zari reappear from the totem, and we also see Sarah and Ava in a musical dance sort of Broadway moment while taking out the bad guys. as I said, there just wasn't really a lot that I liked about this episode. As I said, the only good thing I probably enjoyed about this one was Nate and Gary, followed closely by Astra and Spooner. And we also saw Gideon actually get up on stage and actually sing, which I thought was quite interesting. She actually has a very good singing voice. But aside from those little moments, I just didn't enjoy this episode very much. I didn't hate it. It's a very strong word to use, but I just didn't like it. I just felt this episode was very, very weak and definitely didn't top episode 3, in my opinion. Which is a real shame, really, because episode 3, even though that was the 100th episode of Legends of Tomorrow, it showed that the show can still be very good when it wants to be and definitely gets a lot more serious. This episode, it just felt like Legends of Tomorrow just reverted back to type. Lots of comedic moments, which I really didn't care for, singing and dancing, just nothing that made episode 3 good was in this episode. And, I still like the show. As I said before, occasionally Legends of Tomorrow can surprise you with a good episode. Not a classic episode, but a good episode. So for me, I don't think episode 4 was as good as episode 3. But, what can you do? You can't please everyone. So that's going to be it from me. I am going to wrap this up now. What did you think of episode 4? Did you enjoy it? And also, what was your thoughts on Gary and Nate's newfound bromance, if that's what we're going to call it? Do you think he's right? Do you think Gary is attracted to powerful people? And also, what kind of role do you think the original Zari is going to play now that she's back on the scene? And also, what's your thoughts on Spooner and Astra growing more closer? Are you enjoying that aspect of their friendship? And also, what did you think of Ava and Sarah doing a little Broadway dance? Did you enjoy that also? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Legends of Tomorrow Season 7 review series, where I am going to be talking about episode 5, which, from what I understand, Matt Ryan is going to be returning as a brand new character, not John Constantine. So that should be quite interesting and hopefully should be a lot better than this episode. But time will tell, really. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, thanks for listening.